We're now going to call this meeting to order. This is the City of Palatka Community Redevelopment Agency meeting for December 10th, 2018 at 5 o'clock. We're going to ask that our invocation and pledge be given by Commissioner Navarro.
Everybody, please stand. All right. Dear Father, I'd like to thank you for this day. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, and most of all, your unconditional love. We'd like to ask you to give us the knowledge, wisdom, and guidance in order to be able to make the best decision for the city of Palatka and Putnam County. We ask these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Carol Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Mary Lawson Brown. Absent. Commissioner Justin Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Rufus Forum.
Present.
Commissioner Tammy McCaskill. Here. Sam Deputy.
Present.
Terry Suggs.
Present.
All is present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Moving forward, has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from April 9th, June 11th, September 13th, and October 8th?
Motion to approve all. Second.
As much as I can on the floor, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Is there anyone here for public comment besides Mr. Russo? Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and open public comment up to Mr. Russo. He's on the clock.
1 minute.
Hi, Vito Russo, 415 Emmett Street. I wanted to come up and just say a few things about the music festival that we just had. The Palatka Porch Fest Music Festival is an accomplishment as a community. It's something that happened that was very positive and it was very hopeful for our future. It's a very visible, the music festival is a very visible addition to our community's revitalization. And it's a very clear message to the community that you, our community leaders, are working to improve the quality of our lives. The music festival is something that's going to enhance our culture and give our community some seriously good public relations in the region and for any potential investors. And it really did take the community, it took all of us to make this happen, and I sincerely mean that. I mean, the C.R.A. board entrusted us with a grant, and the TDC, they entrusted us with a grant, and we had small and large businesses in our community that entrusted us by becoming sponsors. So, I mean, we had all kinds of contributions from all kinds of folks. We had folks contributing ideas. We had some folks contributing work product, like the poster that was developed, the beautiful poster, first class. We had people accomplishing tasks that were required to plan and organize and to run a major community festival. That's what Palatka Porch Fest is. So we had help from neighbors. We had help from students in high school. We had local businesses helping. We had help from the City Public Works Department, Jonathan Griffith and his staff. We had help from the police department and the fire department. I mean, it took all of us to put this beautiful event on. So as a community, we made Palatka Porch Fest a winner, and it is here to stay. We are already working on 2019. So I want to thank you for your support.
Mr. Russo, we want to thank you for your hard work. It's a great event. We really enjoyed it. I'll be the first to say, I had a great time there, even in the rain. Awesome bands. I think it was a great showing for it to be a rainy event. And it was good for the community. And so we're definitely proud of the work that was done. And again, we're all better together.
Yes, sir. I want to say thank you as well. I probably had a little bit more dialogue with Mr. Russo And I witnessed his passion for not only the community in which he lives in, but trying to make sure that this event went forward. I know there were sometimes he gave us hard times and we gave him hard time, but I think at the end of the day, it did work itself out. And again, the things that I've heard from individuals I work with, community members, that was something that they truly, truly enjoyed. Through the rain, they still stayed out. I was there from the very beginning. As far as the beginning of the festival that day, and just seeing everyone work hand in hand to try to make sure that the kickoff happens grand. I definitely, not only to Mr. Russo, but the Southside Historic District for allowing not only the citizens of Putnam County, but those from around us to come into your neighborhood, to come into our city, to come into our community and witness the great things that we do have here. And I just, like you said, I look forward to growing forward. I look forward.
He wants it to grow.
I look forward to the growth of the Porch Fest and anything that can come as a result of that. So definitely thank you for your hard work in the Southside Historic District for letting us in.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. Again, I was there as well, and I saw the excitement on the people's, everybody who came in, from people from inside and outside of the community. It certainly was a good marketing that was done, even with the inclement weather. I mean, I thought that was a major success, and I'm certainly excited for 2019. I helped close the whole thing out with shutting it down around 4:30, right? We shut it down around 4:30.
Wow.
Yeah.
But was there throughout the whole process, visited all the porches, did some touring of the bed and breakfasts, and I thought that was pretty neat too. So again, we're looking forward for 2019.
I want to say I enjoyed myself as well. I got there earlier, and the atmosphere was beautiful. All those meetings with you at the end of the day, at the end of my work day, and just hearing and seeing his passion for it, I was glad to see it come to fruition. So I am on board for next year. I think I've already told you that. I do plan on being a committed, sponsor. So great job.
Thank
and
you.
I met some wonderful people. I had some good dialogue. So thanks.
Yeah, one of the really nice things about the event was the feedback from the people hosting musicians on their porches. To a person, every single one of the porch hosts were this thrilled with meeting the musicians and how polite the musicians were, and how much they enjoyed the music and how much they wanted to come back.
Absolutely.
So
That's
really the heartwarming thing about it.
Yeah, that was a really nice. I kind of spent a lot of time there, but just meeting some people from different cities was great. So
That's worth giving them another round of applause.
It did. It really did.
All right. Again, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 1, fiscal year 2018-19 C.R.A. budget amendment, proposed city commission TIF fund amendment to fiscal year 2018-19 TIF fund budget. Ms. Becker.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is just your routine annual amendment. You see it every year happen. It's whenever you get the cash balances, some of your committed funds from the previous year that were committed to a program. However, some of them may not be awarded yet or actually expensed. That's what you see here if you have any questions on those. I do ask, if you look at agenda item 1B, it includes something that is not in your amendment as it sits right now. This is asking for an additional reallocation of $3,000 from a HIP in North to go to debt service for the road reconstruction. A change order came in and it took the project from $250,000 to $300,000. It's additional road work that is needed. Therefore, for the debt service, we need about $3,000. It can come from the HIP. Those, again, are the committed funds that were committed to the program. However, they had not been awarded to anyone specifically. Additionally, something that is not on the agenda, but it needs to be in your motion, or we're suggesting it be in your motion. In the amendment, each TIF, we need to reallocate roughly $1,000 to be in professional services for planned amendments, and that's to help with the consultant to gather ideas and input with the priorities and goals. So, sorry, I can't see.
Is that also under A for the plan amendments where they're gonna discuss whether or not they're gonna have a new district or an expanded district for the RFP?
Yes, and it
Which
could.
Mr. Griffith will talk about.
Right, exactly. And so we're just proposing that we reallocate 1,000 from each of the HIPs and move it to professional services. It doesn't mess with the bottom line necessarily of this amendment. It's just a reallocation.
So that's included in A.
Well,
I'm
it's not
sorry.
really included. Mr. Griffith's gonna address A, but it has to do with A.
Because my issue is if it's not a part of the agenda, how can we do
Is it part of the, what's attached to?
It's it needs to be recommended.
it? Is it in the documents that you presented with us?
No, I don't know if it's specifically an A. We'll have to see.
Well, it's not. A is what we
Okay.
added for a discussion item, so they could.
Then we can
take
always
action
come
on
back
it.
with another amendment. Like I said, it doesn't affect the bottom line. It really is a reallocation. In reality, it's just a transfer, a budget it's not an amendment.
I just wanted to be advertised.
Yep, that's fine.
My concern is that we make sure that it's been advertised.
Okay.
And that we have
And
it there. If it's something that's already projected in one of these
Okay.
amendments that you have, that's one thing.
Okay, and per the audits and everything, as long as it's not an amendment and it's a transfer and it doesn't affect the bottom line and it's within the same district, the same department, we can move funds within the line items.
So,
No, you covered it, sir. I was just gonna ask about the plan.
Okay.
any
right.
other questions?
And we want to hear from Mr. Griffith.
Moving on to item 1A, plan amendments, new district or expanded district.
Thank you. After the last meeting, staff was directed to put together a RFQP for consulting services for plan amendments and district creation. We looked at a few examples and we have it at about 90%, but we do need direction on one item. We have to be fairly specific in the scope of services that we're requesting a cost proposal on. And one of those things is, are we looking at creating a new district adjacent to the existing South Tiff district, or are we looking at amending the South Tiff district to include the additional blighted area?
New district would be my suggestion. I'm just one person.
Are you in that they would sunset if we just expanded, then it would sunset at the same time? Okay, so then we would be shorting that new area because we're already in the second phase and final phase, and that other section would be they would have an option for a second duration. Isn't that still the way that works?
I believe it's only up to 40 years now for all new districts. I don't believe you can extend a new district. Is that correct?
You got 20 years on new district.
I thought, yes.
It's 20 years on new district.
Okay.
What is it?
One of
This
the,
one was expanded out to 2043, I believe.
2030, 2040, wasn't it? 2030, 2038, 2040?
It was 2040 something when we expanded it a couple of years ago. And Ms. Dietrich, when she was here the last time, kind of explained the difference, and it really doesn't change the base year geographically for the original, whether you expand it or create a new district.
It's not gonna
If
matter.
you-
We're gonna attack every year anyway.
If you expand it, then it would be easier. The creation is the one that will take more time to get everything done.
But I think the identities are different. I think
Yeah.
the first thing is, when you look at the areas that we're proposing, there's a distinct difference between the South Restored District, in essence, and the areas that are being proposed.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Does the C.R.A. plan now that's in place, it encompasses all 3 districts within the plan? Would you want to create a new district, and at that time, would a new plan be drafted for the new
Be updated.
districts? Or just updated to be included in this single plan? Because you may want to address different items within that new district.
That's a very good question. So the current RFQP actually outlines what we're looking for plan amendments in the existing districts. It sets out the minimum number of workshop meetings with the citizens that the consultant would have to have, and then it also directs them to bring back those plan amendments to the board and the other taxing entities. And then it also talks about the new district creation. What we're asking is, where do we put the Wilson Cypress Mills district, as we're commonly referring it? Is it a plan amendment or is it a new district? Because it will drastically affect their cost for services. It's a different process per Florida statute.
To create rather than expand.
So
Yes, ma'am.
which, we're talking about a new district in the south.
Adjacent to the South District.
What about a new district adjacent to the north?
Or with the depot district that we.
There were multiple areas that were identified in multiple workshop meetings, and those are still on the table, and they will be included in an attachment in that RFQP. So if you can consider the same thing there and direct staff either way. We just need to know, do you want to amend the existing districts to expand them, or do you want to create all new separate districts?
The new districts to the north of the TISC, or actually to the west of the North TIF district, are they going to be adjacent to the TIF district, or is there going to be a separation of a couple of blocks in between?
Technically, all we can do is direct the consultants that this is the area we want them to look to. They have to do a finding of necessity per Florida Statute 163 and determine if there's evidence of slum and blight. You
I
make some
understand that.
assumption in thinking that they would butt up to one
Well, I'm not trying to
another.
assume that, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that that might be the deciding factor on whether or not you're expanding a district or creating a new district.
Jonathan,
They're
do
not
the
adjacent.
funds, the funds that are generated from the incremental tax difference in the area, are they limited to the district themselves? In other words, if you create a new district, the funds available to be spent in that district are generated by the tax difference in that district alone?
They cannot be spent outside of the district.
So then on the one hand, you're gonna be, depending upon the size of the district, you're gonna be affecting the amount of funds that are available for use in that district. And on the other hand, depending upon the similarity of the districts, that may or may not be a good thing, right?
In theory, if I hear what you're saying is, in the south or in the north, if you expand the district, yes, the current increment dollars that are coming in can be spent in the expanded area.
And otherwise, you're gonna have only dollars from that expanded area that can be spent in that expanded area.
If you go with new districts.
If you go new district.
New
If
districts.
you go new district.
Yes, sir.
So depending upon how you feel about that, and I'm not trying to weigh in one way or the other, but there is going to be a budgetary issue involved in whether you create a new district or just expand a district.
And I can tell you that with the existing districts, it was 15 years before they actually had enough money in those TIF funds before they could really start to do anything.
We have heard from some of the residents, and the sentiment is that they would prefer to see a new district just because they've invested time into those programs.
Well, I think the other part is, even if you saw significant growth over an early period in those districts, you could find yourself with the benefits of that growth being spent outside of that particular area that you're trying to rebuild. And likewise, you could see growth, let's say we could see growth in the South Historic as it exists today, where the benefits actually extend to Palatka Heights or to some other place, just based upon what's there, because we're starting to see increasing values and some other things. And so it could work either way. I would just like to see us create neighborhood identities, and maybe by creating a new district, we're able to actually implement new identities in places that right now, while they have subdivision names necessarily, they don't have a true identity as to where they are, and it gives the people in that particular neighborhood an opportunity to kind of put that in place. Any other comments? Seeing none, take a motion.
Motion to create a new district for the Cypress Mill.
And
And
I also want to see Depot as well.
I do too.
Depot is the north side.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the projected on the north as well. Yes, sir.
If I could make a suggestion, just direct us that all new areas be separate districts and not amended expansions. Yeah.
Second.
Make a motion to create a new district in the Cypress Mills area.
Just say, all new CRA, any new CRA districts be
Be
separate.
separate
Okay,
districts.
any new CRA district to be separate.
Second.
Second by, there's a motion by Commissioner Board, there's a second by Mr. Deputy. Any further discussion? Questions called, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item B, you've already heard from Ms. Becker for the transfer to increase the annual contribution by $3,000 for the North Hip program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Board, second by,
No, that,
I'm sorry, motion by Mr. Suggs. He was sounding like Board. Motion by Mr. Suggs, second by Mr. Deputy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, questions called by Commissioner McCaskill. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to discussion of the Christmas Parade organization.
Get a recommendation on the overall budget amendment. You just need to make a recommendation, city commission pass it as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Okay. And that is coming forward to you
Uh,
along with the rest of the amendments.
And it'll be revised to include the 3.
Christmas Parade organization,
Deputy kind of explain that.
2 minutes.
Well, we just completed our 14th, I just completed my 14th year. And of course, every year there's an issue, and every year I get blessed. And so that tradition continued. When people pass the line and then change their music and their dance, I was told, well, you need to put chaperones with each float. Oh my gosh. The suggestions that come, but nobody offers to do the work. Anyway, so we had said to the last city manager last year that we needed to find the replacement so we could be training, but that hasn't happened, so I'm saying it again. I'll continue for 19, but I will be at that podium the first Thursday of December 2019, giving you the book that I didn't get, with how we've done it, but we need to find another person to take this project over. I believe, according to my records, 72 and a half hours it took this year, so that's 2 full weeks. Plus, it takes your Thanksgiving weekend in its entirety.
It takes out because we gotta come back.
Yeah, and well, I'm working Thanksgiving Day, answering the phone and dealing with people and
Good job.
folks, etc. But, so we need to think about this clearly because somebody needs to be stepping up to do the City of Palatka Christmas Parade.
Ms. Becker just volunteered.
And the last thing that I'm going to say and recommend is, some people would like to see it moved. I'm going to say that whoever would move that,
Date-wise or?
date-wise, whoever would move it would probably end up being crucified, because that is such a time-honored date. But people say, well, I'm away Thanksgiving, I can't ever be, but there's other people that come to Palatka and be with family, the whole bit. But I think the attendance and the participation shows that we have the right date, we have the right time, we got all that down. Now we need to be a leader.
Okay. With that being said, Revitalize Palatka, do you have any comments?
Let me preface her comments with the reason that she's here is because this was always a Palatka Main Street function.
But there is no longer a
But there is
Palatka
no
Main
longer a Palatka Main
Street. Robbie C.R.A. 118 Dodge. I prefer not to make a comment. Obviously, we all want the parade to continue after Sam's tenure. I appreciate all he's done with that. I need to talk to the group and also come up with some other community volunteers. Revitalize Historic Palatka is not going to do it on their own some, and Robbie is not going to definitely do it on her own some. So I need to bring it back to the group. We need to strategize and come up with a plan, and we will get back to you first early of the year and see if we can do that. I'm already trying to roust out some other groups. Again, we don't want it to go away. I don't really want it, but I don't want it to go away. So unless you all have another solution, we'll try to figure it out.
It won't go away. Even Mr. Holmes says it already does.
Okay. He looks willing and ready. Look at him.
Staff and an office phone, which is kind of a necessity.
Wow.
I have to agree with that.
We just need the free printing services.
And you know, it's a lot more than it.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that.
Commissioner Campbell.
I honestly think this is something that we should put out. I think we tried to ignore it and make light of the situation because we necessarily did not want Mr. Deputy to go because he has literally mastered the thing. But I think with us taking advantage of the year that he has given us, or less than a year now that he has given us, that if we put it out so that a person would know all that it takes in order to make sure that the program, to make sure that the parade goes successfully, I think we should just put it out to see if a citizen or a group or a civic organization can work with Ms. C.R.A. after they determine what they can do to help pick up the slack. Because I do believe that if Mr. Deputy has gotten it to the point to where tasks could be delegated to different individuals, that it can be a success. But again, I think we tried to put it off as far as we can because we know who. When you think of Christmas parade, when you think of parades in general in Palatka, you think of Sam Deputy. But I think he's at that point now to where we really have to take him serious. So I believe that we need to do everything that we can, to make sure that the transition is smooth and it's not last minute. And it's something that is completely put forward to where he can lead the task of making sure that they are well, vetted, well organized to make sure that the parade carries itself out successfully for the years to come.
I totally agree. And Sam, you do have like a project task list with timelines associated.
He has a book.
Here's the book,
I have my book.
the parade
That he
book.
didn't get.
Parade marshals have been chosen.
So we've heard.
Applications are already being turned in.
That's good.
All that's already in the works.
You just need to groom. You need to groom the next person.
So that I'm on
So
a
that part's done
I'm on a
already.
time crunch and we're not taking action on this item today. So we're gonna move this agenda forward. 'Cause I gotta leave. We got a
We
baseball.
understand, but what are we gonna do to make sure that
You're not gonna do it tonight, are you?
If we need to, we can.
What are we gonna give me
That's
one?
what I'm asking, like, what are we doing to move forward? What, are we gonna do something
We'll
special,
direct-
workshop, or what?
We can see if Betsy,
Because
can
we
you,
talked about this before and we're back in
can-
the same spot.
can we ask our interim city manager
I'll
to
entertain a motion.
look at seeing who we could possibly utilize within the city staff to assist and work with Sam if we can do that.
We can take a look at that.
Okay.
And I'd like to also take a look at the possibility of putting a request for proposals out to a
Correct.
civic group, similar to what we did with the Azalea Parade when downtown Palatka took it over. That was based upon a request for proposals, because that was also a Main Street trademark the Azalea Festival. And then we put out our RFQ for someone to.
So the motion
organize.
is that we give direction to the city manager to do what she feels is necessary in order to move the,
We can bring both
parade.
proposals forward.
Right,
Is that a motion?
that's the motion.
Second.
So your motion is give the city manager direction to do what she feels is comfortable?
Well, not comfortable, we just gave her
The
the
direction
One of the
to
two.
The
explore the
direction.
staff.
So explore the staff, so that, because we've talked
We
about
need to
this
do
Give me
for
some
over.
clarity, because I don't understand the motion.
The motion is to get with the city manager, get with Mr. Deputy, come up with a plan to move forward, to bring back to the commission, and then we can make a motion, or we can vote to go from the direction of the city manager and Mr. Deputy, who has had the position.
There's a motion to bring something back by what date certain, or by next meeting?
By next meeting.
Is there a time certain?
Next meeting is Thursday, so
Thursday.
Next C.R.A. meeting.
C.R.A.
Next C.R.A. meeting.
This
next CR, which is January.
That way she can explore
February.
staff, she
All
can
right,
explore
so there's a
staff.
motion to bring something back, bring proposal back by next CRA meeting.
Yeah.
And there's a second by who?
Commissioner McCaskey.
Commissioner Costello with the second. Any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Fine.
Any other business before the commission, before the agency? Seeing none, reports. SBDC is not here, moving forward. Palatka North Tip, not here. South, you got anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Any other reports? Seeing none, we're adjourned.